Did you ever watch the outlaw, Josey Wales, and think, dang, what kind of evil lunatics would burn a man's house down with his family inside? Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't just a Hollywood invention, because the real story, it's way darker than anything Clint Eastwood ever growled at the camera. This is the true story behind the brutal, scorched earth tactics that tore apart homes, families, and turned peaceful farmers into vengeful outlaws. Before the Civil War even officially started, Missouri and Kansas were already having their own backyard apocalypse. They called it Bleeding Kansas, but honestly, Chainsaw Massacre 1850s edition would have been more accurate. Pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers were literally butchering each other over land and ideology. John Brown, yeah, the guy with the epic beard and murder eyes, he hacked up 5 pro-slavery dudes with swords. So by the time the Civil War kicked off in 1861, the border states were already soaked in blood and revenge. And guess who got caught in the middle? Yep, average dudes like Josey Wales. Josey Wales may have been fictional, but he was based on real guerrilla fighters in Missouri, Confederate irregulars called bushwhackers. These weren't polished soldiers. They were backwoodsmen who picked up rifles because the war literally came to their doorstep. And here's the kicker. Most of these guys weren't even fighting for the Confederacy out of love for the South or slavery. They were fighting because Union troops, or worse, Union-backed militia groups, burned their homes down. Let's talk about William Quantrill, a real-life Confederate guerrilla leader who ran a band of fighters that included a young man named Jesse James. Yes, that Jesse James. Josey Wales was heavily inspired by men like these, men who weren't evil until evil kicked their door in. Okay, now buckle in. The Union side had its own freelancers, the Jayhawkers, mostly from Kansas. Sounds fun, right? Like a sports team? Nope. Jayhawkers were Union-aligned raiders who didn't wait for orders. They just rolled into Missouri, stole livestock, looted homes, and burned entire farms to the ground. And here's where things get brutally real. Union cavalry units often looked the other way, or even joined in. For families like Josey Wales's, it wasn't a fair war between armies. It was terror from the sky, on horseback. His family wasn't killed in battle, they were executed by heroes. And that's the emotional core of his story, a man who didn't choose war until war chose him. Quantrill's raiders, inspired by personal vengeance, would go on to massacre Union civilians in Lawrence, Kansas. A horrifying act of retribution for all the burning and killing done in Missouri. And here's the insane twist. After the war ended, some Union leaders straight up admitted that they couldn't control the militias they unleashed. So let's recap this emotional train wreck. Union-backed militias destroy homes like Josey's. Survivors become guerrilla fighters. Guerrillas retaliate brutally. The war spirals into an unholy cycle of revenge. And the ones who suffer most? The farmers, the children, the wives, the innocent. So the next time someone says Josey Wales is just a cowboy revenge flick, you can calmly respond with, actually, it's based on one of the most horrifying real chapters of Civil War history, where neighbor turned on neighbor and entire families were wiped out, not in battlefields, but in their own homes. War isn't always about soldiers. Sometimes it's about what happens when the uniforms leave and the fires start. And hey, if you made it this far, give me your thoughts. Was Josey a hero, a villain, or just a man who lost everything? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely love to hear how you tell this story. And if you want more insane but true stories from history, subscribe. Or I'll send some Jayhawkers to your backyard with torches.